Hello, I posted some pictures of my custom Ashad, the Lone Cyberman, and people have been asking me how I made him and what parts that I used. So I thought I'd make a quick video on that and also show off my use of magnets because I've found it really helpful when I'm making these figures. So here he is, and he is definitely a mix of a bunch of different things. So the head is 3D printed. So I had a Nightmare in Silver head that I had actually downloaded. Somebody had made a complete full-size mask, and I had shrunk that down to be able to 3D print heads for that. And I took that and I modified that and resculpted parts of it. Obviously broke the head out, made these bigger, remade these ear parts and this part here to make it more accurate. It's not 100% accurate, but it's as close as I could get. So this part is 3D printed. His head is actually, his face was actually a bust of Rami Malek from Mr. Robot that I found online and stuck that in there. The arm is just a Mondasian Cyberman arm, as are the legs. These bits are 3D printed because he had in the episode with Mary Shelley, he had different legs than he had in the two-part finale. In the two-part finale, he kind of had standard Cyberman legs. And in the previous episode, he had more Mondasian type legs, and then he had these braces. So I designed and 3D printed these braces. The body, which a lot of folks have asked me about how I did the body, that was a pretty kind of a complicated process. I took a Nightmare in Silver Christmas tree ornament that was not the right scale. It's not character option scale. It was slightly bigger though than the 3 3/4 inch character option scale that came out. So what I did was I made a casting of that, and I then, in the casting, molded expandable rubber. So essentially it's rubber that was in this shape at a smaller scale, and then you could put that in water, and as you soaked it in water, it absorbed the water and got bigger. So I did that and let it absorb water until it got to pretty much the character option scale. It's maybe a little bit smaller, but you can see there it's pretty close. So then I was able to make another cast of it larger, so I can basically cast this piece, which includes the head, but the 3D printed head is actually better than what you get from the casting. And I did the same thing with the arm. So this arm is also from that casting from the Christmas tree ornament. And I had to add the articulation in there. So I tried to add a joint there as best I could. And then the gun is also, I did a 3D design and 3D printed that. So those are the main pieces. Then on the back, I 3D printed these pieces for the spine, and then the little junctions here, and the smaller pieces, and the pieces with the gems. And I actually just happened to have these gems from, they were parts that I had bought when I built a custom 12th Doctor console, and I had all sorts of bits and bobs from that left over. And I had these wires as well. So this was all 3D printed and then hand glued on, and then obviously the whole thing was hand painted. So I'm really, really proud of how this came out. I think it looks pretty official and is one of the best figures I've done. And the other thing that I did is I used magnets. So I have head articulation, so I could move his head around, and that's because it's on there with a magnet. So I can have different heads, and I also do that with the arms. So again, it's kind of easier to make a joint, and you can swap out pieces. So this is a magnet here, and this is a magnet here, and this is a magnet here, and actually the legs are also a magnet. So I could swap out, which I may do, and make a version with the Cybus legs and then swap out the legs. The tricky thing with the magnets is you have to make sure, because they're really strong magnets, is that you get the polarity right. Because if you have opposite polarity from this magnet to this magnet, this is not going to stick in. It's going to cause a problem. So you do have to be careful because the magnetic fields kind of go beyond where they are. So you have to make sure everything has the right polarity. But I've found it to actually be kind of an easy way to get really good articulation, especially if you're doing a weird custom like this, where you're not just like popping something out of the body and putting it back in. So that's, I guess, kind of all the important stuff for this figure. I'm going to see now if I can maybe make some more. I don't know. This was quite a bit of work, but we'll see what I can do. But that's kind of it. Again, I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. So I hope that helps some people who are maybe making them, and to have some different techniques, a little thinking outside the box as to how to do things. Thanks for watching. Thanks. Bye.